Hi, welcome to Building SaaS with Python and Django. My name is Matt Lehman, and on this stream, I work on Python stuff and Django stuff, and we build a web app, and we look at Python exercises and do things like that. This evening, we're going to continue on that path somewhat. We're going to do a Python exercise, and then, I'm feeling like relaxing this evening, so we're actually going to mix it up and be a bit of a behind-the-scenes stream, I suppose, as we will dig into my stream setup and see if there are ways that I can improve the stream to make it just a better experience for you as a viewer. But we'll get to that later. So we'll start with some exercises. So we're on the Python track. I'm using exercism.com as a way to show you all some Python skills. But you're free to ask me anything about Python, Django, or web development. That's what I'm here for. I will try and answer your questions as best I can. So let's look at what we've got up for exercises in here. And last week I did some of these, and we got to a new section in Exercism that kind of brought us back earlier in the setup. We'd finished going through the main portions of the syllabus, and we're now at early parts of this that are kind of looping back to some of the earlier concepts. So some of these problems were easy. I think one of them took maybe 2 minutes, and that was including the time to download it. So we may do one or two of these depending on how long they take and how many questions there are. And then once we do that, we'll move on to some other activities. So let's look at this one. So we're going to look at Leap, and I'm going to go ahead and get it downloaded. I don't know anything about these exercises. That's the kind of the fun of this process is we're just doing it together, doing it live. So this will have us with the Leap problem. And we'll get here. I'll start up NeoVim. And my window is way too big. I don't know what's going on there. So let's do maximize for this place. There we go. We'll go up a little bit. And I need to borrow a configuration file from these other things, because for whatever reason, these exercises don't have a certain file in place. And what that leads to is some warnings coming from the tests that come with PyTest. So by adding this little file as the start, we get the ability to see these tests run without the warnings. And so we can just see what we really care about. So let's run the tests. Oh, baloney, this is a test file. That is not true. I don't know why it's saying that. Maybe, hold on, maybe it doesn't know. Might be I did not activate my virtual environment. So let's go ahead and activate that. And it must have restarted my machine, so it doesn't have all of the PyTest stuff available. And so it didn't know what that was, I think, is what was going on. We should be able to run PyTest from here, and you can see that the Leap test is definitely a test file. So the command that I was running was just wrong. But let's try running it now and see if it runs. Okay, that's better. So it was definitely the virtual environment setup. So we've got this test file. That's the test that we have to make accurate. Or make work, I should say. And then we have our function here that we will tackle. So I'm not going to leave the tests up. I can just run them now that I've run them once. So we can just look at a singular file here. So let's go to the problem and see what we're building. It looks like something that seems pretty straightforward, but we'll see. Okay, so this problem is called Leap. It's an easy category problem, so shouldn't be too many concepts that are difficult here. It says, given a year, report if it is a leap year. The tricky thing here is that a leap year in the Gregorian calendar is one of the following. So a leap year is on every year that is evenly divisible by 4, okay, except every year that is evenly divisible by 100, unless the year is also evenly divisible by 400. Okay. So that's cool. I think one way that we can address this is this is the most generic case, and each of these is more specific. So if we reverse this order and go with the most specific rule first and then work down to the most generic rule, then we should be able to get an answer relatively quickly. So this thing needs to return a Boolean value. And let's see how many tests there are actually. We've got 9 tests to pass. And so we know that what is a way that we can actually do this test? So we can use the modulo operator in order to see if something is evenly divisible by a number. So we'll start by saying if our year modulo 400 is equal to, or just like I guess that would be return a 0 if it is evenly divisible. We'll say it's equal to 0. Then we want to return true. So that's that case. And if we run that, we should see we've got 2 tests passing. So we've got, it doesn't tell us which one tests passed immediately, but I assume it's the ones that are related to 400. So we should be able to move to the next section. And so if it's not 400, then we can go to the next condition. So we'll do an elif here, and we'll say elif the modulo operator in 100. If that's equal to 0, then the rules for that was that is not a leap year. So we'll say return false and save that and run that. And we've got 5 tests passing, and then there's only 1 more to go, which is the most generic case of the bunch. So if we have gotten this part, it's not evenly divisible by 400, it's not evenly divisible by 100. Now we need to figure out if it's evenly divisible by 4. So we take the year and we do modulo 4. And this time we can do just like this. And this will evaluate to a true-false value. So we don't need to put in a last else clause or an if clause there. This should be fine. Run that, we've got passing tests. Like I said, these were kind of rewinding and bringing us back to earlier exercises, so these are not crazy hard problems that we're dealing with here. So let's go into this and submit it and check out a couple of community solutions, see how my solution compared, see if there's anything that was caught by the static analyzer that maybe I missed. It's possible, and we'll move on to the next problem. So we're going to do exercism submit, and we'll do leap.py. So that should bring us here. We can open that up and check it out. So we've got our iteration, which is this very simple solution of just, what is that, 5 lines of the body of the function. And let's compare it to a couple of community solutions and see if there's some clever stuff that we can find. So I'm going to open a handful of these and see what else people did. Looks like folks chose to do a one-liner, which I think is interesting. So you can see, basically, here's my solution with something close. They actually did an extra if statement. We're not going to look too much at that one. But let's look at some of these one-liners and see what people did. So this person said, checked if it was 4, but then they're doing this extra and check. So they're doing extra computation here, actually, that I don't think that they needed to do. So they're testing against the, if that is not against a 100, or that it is one of the 400 values. So that makes sense. Pretty clean, but again, slight extra computation. And then, well, although now I think about that, maybe it's an equal amount of computation because mine is running through all of those no matter what. So maybe there's not a way to do this without running all 3 of the checks, because you have to check it against those 3 pieces, those 3 facts, the 4, 100, and 400. You can't get away from that. This is an interesting solution to do it this way. It seems, I don't know, I look at this and I see too much here, especially the fact that it's returning a true or a false based off of the condition. So instead, what they could have done is dropped all this if-else stuff and just had the condition, and that would have worked just fine. So there's probably more code than was necessary here. But they got it, so good job to them. And then here we've got this other one, and again, one-liner. So I don't know why these folks opted to do one-line versions of this. I think it lacks some clarity, personally, but you know, they've got solutions. So we will mark this one as complete because that was almost like a warm-up again. And we'll do maybe one more. And again, if you have any questions about Python or what I'm doing here, feel free to ask. This is meant to be a conversation, so happy to chat with you about them. Okay, let's move on to resistor color duo and see what happens here. So let's copy the problem and we'll paste it in. Why am I getting a feeling like I did I submit my last problem? I did, right? My brain just suddenly spaced out. Syllabus, overview, should be this one. Okay. I don't know why I suddenly thought that I hadn't hit the submit button. Okay, so we will go into, we'll first take the PyTest configuration stuff, just like we did before. And this is the resistor color duo. We already did resistor color earlier, so now we can create a new PyTest INI file. And we can paste in this, and I'm going to change the directory in NeoVim because I think it is in a different directory. So we're now in the right location, and we can run the tests and see that all 7 of them are failing. And we have our file here that has a function stub that's called value. So let's look at the problem setup and see what we're supposed to return from this value function. All right, let's start reading. So if you want to build something using a Raspberry Pi, you'll probably use resistors, okay? For this exercise, you need to know 2 things about them. Each resistor has a resistance value, and resistors are small. They're so small that you have to look, if you wanted to see a value printed on them, it'd be hard to read. And to get around this, manufacturers use colors in order to make resistors figure out what the value is for each resistor. The first 2 bands of a resistor have a simple encoding scheme. Each color maps to a single number. For example, if they printed a brown band followed by a green band, the number would translate to 15. Okay? So the first one is the tens place, the second one is the ones place. In this exercise, you're going to create a helpful program so you don't have to remember the values of the bands. The program will take color names as input and output a 2-digit number, even if the input is more than 2 colors. Oh, that's interesting. The band colors are encoded as the following. So from the example above, brown-green should return 15. Brown-green-violet should return 15 as well, ignoring the 3rd color. Okay, so they want us to take the first 2 colors to come up with our value. All right, so let's do this. We're going to take, in fact, we already did this assignment last week, but with a simpler thing. So let's go back here and use the same data structure that we did, because I don't want to copy and paste all that over again. That would be a waste of time. Let's put it in here. So we've got this dictionary that provides a lookup. Another way that we can do this that was also provided that I actually like a little bit better is that there is an index method on lists that would provide the index position, and you can see these are all match up to index numbers. From a performance perspective, I'm actually not sure if it's faster to do a dictionary lookup or if it's faster to do an index lookup. I don't know if it translates to the same thing. So let's just leave it as a dictionary. We can work with this just fine. So our input is going to be colors, a list of strings. We can declare that if we want by saying it's a list of string. That's what we expect to come in here. And then we're going to return an integer, because all of these are discrete values and like it's very doable. All right, so now we've got our list of colors that can return an integer, and it says that we only need the first 2 values. And I guess I'm going to code this assuming that there are always 2 values, and maybe some of the inputs will have less than 2, in which case we'll have to recalculate. But I'm going to assume I'm going to assume that there's at least 2 values, because it said that in the example there was blue-green and blue-green-violet, but they didn't use those first 2. So we know that the result should be the colors. So the color, I'm also going to make the assumption that all of the colors passed into the values are valid. So if we do this math, this should work out in our favor. So if we look up the colors in the dictionary and use the first item at 0, that should give us our tens place. So in order to make that math right, we want to multiply by 10. And then we want our digits, our individual at least significant value. I'm drawing a blank. Is it just digits? The ones position, I guess, is just a lookup with the colors at 1. And that should only pay attention to those first two. So let's see how our tests do. Wow, that was really, really simplistic. So much so that like I feel like we should do a third one. That one's not even fair. There's not a lot you can learn from this. So what did I do? I looked into our list. I looked for the first item in the list. That could be a color like brown. And then I looked up into our colors dictionary of what is brown. So that would be 1. And multiplied that by 10 to make it into our 10 position. And then I added the ones place by looking at the second one and doing another lookup to get whatever its value is. That's the solution, a valid solution. So let's go ahead and submit it. So let's do Exercism submit. And this is resistor color duo. We'll open that. And we'll see all of our tests passed. There's no static analysis warning here, so there's nothing to see there. Let's look at a couple of community solutions here and see if there's anything clever that I didn't see. So somebody is actually even pulling from a previous assignment. That's extra curious. So they have a weird dependency. I don't know how they made that work on this website, because it's making some pretty odd assumption, but okay. They're doing a reduce with a lambda. Wow, that is like way more complicated than I would want. So maybe they were going for like something esoteric just to have some fun, in which case good for them. So let's look at just 2 more other ones and then move on. So this person got a dictionary just like I did, and they are doing, wow, what are they doing? Okay, this is clever. So they're taking the string value. I mean, I don't think it's efficient, let me be clear, but they're taking the string value and they're taking another string value and they're concatenating those together, and then they call the int function to convert that string into the number. So this works, I think. I mean, unless we benchmark it, so I don't really know for certain, but I would think that this is slower than doing some lookups and some multiplication like we did. But I could be wrong. All right, let's look at one more. So here we've got a solution that is similar to the one that I did, except they did that thing that I mentioned where you can use a list instead, and then you can call index to get that. So if you get index of brown times 10, you get the tens position, and then you get the index of the second color and you add them together. The other thing that I would have done, and you saw that I did that in my solution, is I extracted color values out. The way that this is implemented is, I believe, unless Python has some optimizations that I'm not aware of, which it might, that this list is going to get created every time the function gets called. So it's multiple allocations. So having it as a module level variable like I did here, I think is going to be faster. But it is a valid solution nonetheless. All right. So we've got our solution. We've got our iteration here. Let's go ahead and submit this, and then we'll move on to a third problem. Show me more exercises. Okay, this one looks like it has some string stuff. Pangram. Boop. So we're going to download this, and get it going. So we'll do our same first step. We'll copy that PyTest file. We'll go to Pangram, create PyTest ini, and paste that in, save it, and then come in here, and then we'll change the directory to Pangram. And I guess we need to set up our test file so that we can run that. And so here is our test file. And here is our code file. Now we're in position to run our tests again. We've got 12 tests that we have to make pass. Let's see what they say. All right. You work for a company that sells fonts through their website. They'd like to show a different sentence each time someone views a font on their website. To give a comprehensive sense of the font, a random sentence should use all the letters in the English alphabet. Okay. They're running a competition to get suggestions for sentences that they can use. You're in charge of checking the submissions to see if they are valid. So Pangram comes from Greek. I don't know how to speak Greek, so if you do, you can read that in your head, but I don't know how to say that, which means every letter. Okay, cool. Pangramma. Maybe that was what I need to read. Cool. Best known English pangram is the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Cool. Your task is to figure out if a sentence is a pangram. A pangram is a sentence using every letter of the alphabet at least once. It is case insensitive, so it doesn't matter if a letter is lowercase or uppercase. For this exercise, we only use the basic letters used in the English alphabet. All right. So, how can we do this exercise? There's a couple of ways. So one of them is like an additive way, and then one is the subtractive way. That's basically the way I'm thinking about this is we need to be able to go through each letter in a sentence and check, are you in the sentence, are you in the alphabet or not? So we can either have a structure that is kind of just keeping track of each letter and whether it's been seen or not, or we can have a subtractive way and like remove things that haven't been seen. I don't know if one is more efficient than the other. I'd have to do some benchmarking on it, and I suppose it depends. Imagine you had a sentence, a run-on sentence that is like 10,000 characters long. No matter, in either case, you probably want to have some kind of check that will bail out early if it can. So we should keep that in mind as we devise a solution here. So here's our sentence stuff. None of our tests pass. So they're giving us like a basic one of one sentence is just literally just the alphabet. So this is going to be pretty binary of whether it's passing or failing. So I think what I'm going to do is let's try a version that builds up a dictionary that has all of the lowercase letters and goes through and checks and will mark every letter as true if it exists, and starts off with false, and then at the end we can say check if all of the values in that dictionary are true. So how can I do this? We can do there's a way to get the actual lowercase letters that are built into the standard library. So we can look at, I don't remember if this is in stir or somewhere else. Actually, there's multiple ways to do this. You can go to the documentation, but let's poke around for a minute, see if we can find it. Python 3, and we can do a dir on the stir type, see what options are there. So this might show us, so we can see is alpha So there's a check for what kind it is, but I don't know that that's what I want. Import string. I think it might be in the string module. Okay, so we've got string ASCII lowercase, maybe? String ASCII lowercase. There they are. So we can use that to our advantage here. And so I want to say, first let's import the string module. And we'll do our, we'll make a data structure which we'll call a dictionary called scene. It's going to track whether something's is present or not. And we'll make it be letter false for letter in string dot ASCII lowercase. So hopefully this is clear that this is going to create a dictionary with 26 items in it, and it will, all of the values of those dictionary entries will be false. So the second thing I want to do is I want to take our sentence, we want to iterate through our sentence and lowercase stuff. So we can say for letter in sentence lower. So now we're going to go through each letter. And here we want to put in into that scene thing a value. So we can say scene letter equal to true. Okay. And then finally, the thing we need to do is check that, if we didn't hit one, if we missed Q, then Q is still going to be false, but we need to check all of them. So what we want to do is the result is going to be all. We're going to use the built-in function all, and we'll say scene values. So the value, this call to values should return every value that's in there. And if they're all true, then it's going to be satisfied and should return true. Now notice what this thing is doing. If there's punctuation in here, that's going to get stuffed into this dictionary as well. It's a small cost to bear, but it shouldn't make this any less valid. So we've got all the tests passing. So technically, we could call this done. We could say, yep, we've satisfied this. How else could we do this, though? Is there a faster way? What would we have done if the in that case where the sentence is super long? Perhaps there is the letters would have been resolved way sooner. And we'd be wasting effort going through all of the sentence. Like if you got to letter 26 and you just happen, and there's 10,000 letters, but all of the alphabet appeared in the first 26, you'd be wasting a lot of time. So what else could you do? With this approach that I've taken, it's kind of hard to bail out early because you'd have to do a check and you'd have to go through all of the values every time. So that is maybe a downside to this approach. So is there another way we could do this? I think there is. So let's try that other solution. And we might not even see, these tests are all short. So we're not getting much out of here. We're not actually going to see this. Here are all of the tests. You can see all of those sentences fit in a very short amount of space. So we're not going to see any real benefit from this. So this is really more just for ourselves at this point. So I'm going to leave that solution up and we'll just comment it out. ECAF. Yeah, there we go. So let's try this again. See if we can do another approach. We'll have the same data structure, except this time we'll call it we'll make a copy of the ASCII list. So we'll have the same start, but we're going to make a list instead of a dictionary. And so now, what do we want to do? So when do we know that this is done? We know this is done when the length is equal to 0, because that would mean that all of the letters have been seen. So if we can start our check with if, and at that point it becomes literally if not seen, because an empty list will be falsy. So we have that. So then when we would, in that case, that's when we would return true. Hopefully that makes sense. So if it's not false, it's going to continue processing. And so if we do that, then we get to this this case. Oh, there's going to be an edge condition here, which we need to make sure about. Maybe we should do this actually after. We'll do one check. Maybe do one extra character check. We'll put it later, and we'll see why this is important. So if the letter, we want to see if letter, we want this to be fast, so we're using the wrong type. So let's change this to a set. Talk about why in a second. So if the letter is in scene, then we want to scene dot remove letter. Okay. So I think that might be just about it. Yeah, okay. I think I like this solution maybe better. Because I think there's less going on here. So we've lowercased all of our sentence like we did before. And now we're working backwards. We're saying we've got starting with 26 letters. So if this letter is in scene, which is a set, and because it's a set, it is a constant lookup time operation. It doesn't have to go through each position. It does some hashing under the covers, and can very quickly actually remove the letter as well from the set. So once that has happened, we've got this case where it is now down to 25 letters. So if it's not seen, then that means that all the letters have been removed, and we can evaluate to true to the function. Otherwise, we're going to go to the next letter because there's more to process, and potentially more to what am I trying to say? There's more chances to cover them all. So it keeps going through that. And then if it finally gets through the entire sentence and it hasn't gotten through here, and this didn't return true, that must mean that there's still characters in the scene set, which we can just know that we can return false. So I think I like this version. So what does this have? The advantage of this is that, again, if there's that 10,000 character solution, but the very first 26 characters are the alphabet, then it's going to bail out early. So all the other 74 characters will be skipped. So it's a massive savings if you had just a gigantic sentence. In practice, I think that would not happen much, but it's still kind of an interesting optimization to discuss. So let's leave a comment here that says dictionary version, in case somebody's curious, and then we'll tell them like this is additive. If I can spell additive, and then we'll say set version subtractive. There's probably also a way that you could do this with a string, itself and like have a removing, treat the string like an iterable, but then you'd be making copies of the string on each loop. So I think that doing this as a set is probably the optimal data structure for this particular problem. Okay, and let's run it one more time to make sure. Yep. Well, let's go to pangram and do exercism submit pangram.py. Oops, that was not what I wanted to search. But we can take that value. What's going on? Oh my word. I am failing with my highlighting skills. Okay, we've got our two versions, test passed. Let's look at some community solutions, see how other people did this. Oh. I like this one. Let's talk about it. I think Tanan wins here. So they took advantage of this and said, here's the alphabet as a set, and then used set methods on this to say is subset. So if the string lower version is a subset of the alphabet, then it's true. That's a really slick solution. Yeah, and other people seem to agree. Yeah. Nice job, Tanan. Okay. So this person did the 4. Okay. So this is a little inefficient because it is looking at the list over and over again. So there's an O, if you're into big O notation and know that, there's an ON performance cost here. And they're doing the sentence lower on every loop through the comprehension that they're doing. So that is kind of wasteful, but it's a pretty simple solution. I think the one way they could have made this vastly more efficient would be to have this sentence lower outside of this comprehension and just have a local variable. That would be better. In fact, at that point, they could have also created a set there and just gone through this one letter at a time. So actually, I kind of like this approach of going over the letters that you need and looking in the sentence for their presence. That's kind of cool. Although, in that case of a gigantic sentence, then you're left with maybe an overallocation of memory. So, but again, this is like small, teeny tiny amounts of memory, but that is one little gotcha. Yep, so they're calling, it would be called 26 times, that's right. Short, but quite expensive. Yeah. These comments are pretty good down here. All right, let's look at one more. We got Katrina Huber-Jumas here, and they did some set math. I don't know that this is the optimal set math. They're saying like if you subtract all the set of letters from the alpha set and then it's an empty set, then return true. I think the subset version that we saw from Tanan was better, but it's clever use of sets. Nice work. Okay. So let's submit this. So we did, I guess that brings us to 3 exercises done for this evening from Exercism. And let's call it a day there. Did I get some badge? What type of badge did I get? Ooh, new badge. Let's see. Analytical April. Oh, the fact that I worked on some Python exercise during the analytical month, which is, they're calling Python analytical language because it's used in data science. So that gives me this badge. Lucky me. That's just because I happen to be working on Python during this. It's not anything to do with the fact that I'm using it for analytical purposes. Cool. All right. So we've got our problems done, and I'm ready to move on to some other stuff. So what are we gonna do? Let's chat about it. Excalidraw to where I want to go. All right. So I, for whatever reason, have not been making really good, significant progress on improving this stream, the quality of the stream itself. So we're going to get a little meta here, and we'll call this stream improvements. And normally this is where I would switch into like Django, and we would look at Python code that is actually built into my app. So if that's what you were tuning in for this evening, I'm sorry. That's not the plan for tonight, but hopefully this will be entertaining for folks anyway. So we've got this tool, Excalidraw, which I'm just going to document things that I could actually do to make my site or my stream better. And so let's talk through some of them. So first, let's talk about, there are, whoops, wrong key. I've got kind of like two buckets that are here. Let's put them like this. And what am I trying to work on? So I want to do, what do I want to do? I have the desire to make it possible to use my Stream Deck. I got a Stream Deck. If you've not seen one, it'd be hard for me to show. It's right here below me. It's a little device. I don't know if I have enough USB. Yep, there it is. Okay. So it's just a little key system that has 15 keys that are all little miniature displays. And the cool part about Stream Deck is it's programmable. And I got this months ago, and I just have not been spending any time to program it at all. So I want to make it useful for the stream that I actually use it, because there's certain aspects of the way I run the stream that are not convenient. I've got a second monitor now, which is awesome. It's over here. And this is where I can see chat messages and such. But my actual tool for streaming, which is I'm using Streamlabs OBS, or Slobs, I think it's sometimes called, is kind of on my periphery. And there are some things that are less than ideal to control. So I want to be able to use my Stream Deck to input commands to Slobs. I think I don't want to mislead you. I think it's called Slobs, but Streamlabs OBS. Is it Slobs? Or did they stop calling it that? Maybe they just call it Streamlabs now. Slobs? Yeah, there it is. You can see it. Okay, so that's the tool that I'm using to stream. It's a custom version of OBS, which is an open source software that is bought from a company called Streamlabs. Streamlabs tries to make certain aspects of streaming a little easier to use. And I've found it to be convenient, so I've stuck with it. I started it when I switched to this computer, and it's pretty nice. So I have this Stream Deck, and I want to be able to use the Stream Deck to do various programmatic things with it. I want to be able to have certain buttons that I can hit, and it will go over and perform various actions. So some of the actions that I have are we want to be able to switch scenes. So a scene is one of these. When I come over here, I can hit, and my audio is still connected, so I can come over to this, and you can still hear me right now, which is another thing I want to correct, but we'll get to that in a second. And I can jump between these different scenes. So it's a visual display that you as a consumer see. So I want to be able to switch scenes as one thing. Another thing that I'd like to be able to do is trigger a display. So I'm going to come over to slobs over here, and right now there are some displays that get triggered when certain events happen. So if somebody becomes a subscriber, you should see, yeah, this is me clicking the event. That's what it would look like if somebody was actually joining just now. And then it fades away over a certain amount of time. So I didn't configure any of that. That's the default, that little dinosaur. You've probably seen it before. It's because it's the default for this setup. But I'd like to be able to have a couple of buttons that actually will trigger certain things that I want to display. So at various times, it'd be nice, if you're watching this and you're enjoying the content, or enjoyed the content earlier, I'd love to be able to say, hey, like, subscribe, comment, subscribe, all that business, and have something pop up there that is just a visual reminder to pair with the word. So I can hit a button and it would do that. So I want to say I need a command that would launch an overlay. So let's see, how do I want to call that? I'll call it launch, like, comment, subscribe, just the way things are just done around here, overlay. Okay. So those are, I think those are the input directions that I want to go in. Then there are things that I want to have output to the Stream Deck. And I don't know if this is possible yet. I assume that it is. But like I said, this interface over here, so I can look over this direction and I see the thing that you see. So I see my video in the corner and I see what's going on with my browser right now. But it really is at the periphery. And that little subscribe thing, that little dinosaur, does show up over here. If somebody actually, if you were to subscribe right now, I would see that. And the challenge is that it is hard for me to notice that. So I think there have probably been times where if you're watching the stream and you are subscribing, I may not have even observed that, which is not cool. I want to be able to interact with you. And if I can't know that you're there, and aside from a chat message, which I do kind of see, so my chat messages are right at the left edge of my second screen, so it's just off of where I'm coding, so I can at least see those. But this other window is farther over and starts to just get outside my periphery. So what I want to do is, when any kind of interaction happens, any of these, I mean, there seems to be a bunch of them now. There's there's a ton of these, like membership, donations, super chats, all of those things, which would all be awesome and great. I don't have merch, so that's interesting. And I don't even know what is this? Cloudbot redeem? What the heck does that mean? And SL Ultra gift. Maybe these are Twitch things. I don't know. I don't know what all these are. But for the ones that seem to pertain to YouTube, I'd love to be able to get some kind of visual representation that splashes right here, which is directly in my line of sight with my eyeballs, and shows up on the Stream Deck, and just kind of temporarily gets my attention. That would be cool. So that's what I'm looking for as an output. So what are they? Subscribe, membership, all of these things. Membership, donation. I don't know if they have to be separate, so we'll see. donation or super chat. All of these things are possible things that happen on YouTube that I'd love to be able to thank you if you choose to do one of those things. So those are the kinds of interactions that I want to have possible on this Stream Deck. And where we'll try and play with this tonight is to see if we can enable some of the most basic ones here. Okay, now let's talk about another category of stuff. So let's do text on the top here. So just general stuff. One thing is that these are super bland. Like, talk about horribly boring. They're all, this one's not even one that I use. I only use 4 scenes, but they all have the same background. They're so lame. So I want to switch off of them. So here's what I would hope to do. Let's use, what is it called? Dolly. I don't have a Midjourney account or anything. So let's do some AI generated art for those scene backgrounds. That would be cool. And this is where we could get fun. Like, I don't know, goofy robots battling in a city, or a pool of puppies. I have no idea. Like, I don't really care. But just something goofy and whimsical is what I'd go for. The other small thing is there are certain scenes that, like right now, I would like it if you couldn't hear me. This is before I start, and I'm setting up, I'm clicking around. Like, there's a little bit of setup here that I have not optimized. And I don't want you to hear like weird pops and things and wondering, what is he doing? Why doesn't he just start already? So for certain scenes, so for the starting soon and be right back scenes, mute the audio. I don't know why that's not obvious to do. In fact, let me show you why this. I don't know why this is so hard, but it seems like it is. In OBS, your audio input is listed as a separate source. So when you have a different scene, it will show up as a source here. So when I used to use just the open source OBS, and if I had a scene where I didn't want you to hear me, then I would put that scene here. But you can see that with slobs, the audio seems to be always present, and that is weird. It's super weird, right? So I don't know how to mute this for particular scenes or disable it entirely. And that's something I want to figure out. So that's the other piece that I would like to figure out. What would be a nice to have? There's another one. So I told you that when I have to start up, if you've ever joined me right at that moment, which not many people do, but it's possible that you were one of them. There's like a certain amount of clicking that I have to do right now, because for strange reasons, actually, here, let me show this again. It's possible to get the chat visible from slobs, and it expands here, and you've got the chat. But the problem is that there's no way. So it says sign into chat. Like, I don't know how to do this. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong. So yeah, I think it's this. This action cannot be performed inside Streamlabs desktop. So to interact with chat, you have to open the chat in a web browser, which is totally lame. So it means that, like, even though I could see chat here, I like to interact with the audience, if there's questions and stuff, and share bits of information. So what that means that what I have to do is after I go live, after I hit the button to start the stream, then I have to come over to this actual streaming page, and there is a section here that has the chat, and I have to click this button and say pop out, and it gives me this separate window that then I can actually work with. Hello, chat. So that's how it has to work. All of that is kind of lame. It would be nice if I could have a single setup, so I push a button and all of that stuff is not only started in the right sequence, but set to the right type, because there's a top chat versus a live chat. There's a bunch of different not weird, but there's just a bunch of different settings that need to happen here. And it's kind of a nuisance to set up. Like I want to reduce friction to running the stream. That should be as easy as possible. So that's like, that would just be gravy, but it would still be nice to have. Well, let's call that the one button setup to start streaming. So that's like lowest priority though, because it's not that many. It's really just a nuisance. All right. So what I'm hoping is more fun though is playing around on this Stream Deck, seeing how it would work, learning a bit with you about stuff that's here, and yeah, doing that. So let's start. I don't want to do the muting the audio thing until after I've got the scene switching right, because I would hate to get that audio muted and then be working on the scene switching, and then like I'd switch to a thing that was muted. Let's do that later. Let's start with scene switches. So there is a little widget that comes with the Stream Deck, and we're going to go to configure the Stream Deck so that you can see these little boxes here. And you know, to Stream Deck's credit, there's a bunch of cool stuff. I just don't know how to use it yet. So I need to learn what these things are. We've got multi-action switch. Yeah, we just have to go read the docs here. So we've got here's Streamlabs desktop. Aha, so we've got scene. So probably want to do these in the same order. I need 4 of these. And do I want to do this top or bottom? I'm trying to push on this thing because it's pretty firm. It does have some grip. But is one of them going to be more influenced by my pushes than others? It seems like I'm just messing with it right now. And it seems like pushing on the top slides a little bit less. So I'm going to try that. We'll use the top buttons first. And we'll take this and we'll drag it into this spot. So we're in the red glitch collection. We'll say the scene I want is, I've called it scene. This is what we're seeing in slobs. And let's call it scene. Now I don't see that in my UI right now. What are these buttons? What the heck? Why are there 2 little slider things here? I'm hoping, again, you can't really, so now I've got one of these little things lit up, which is cool. And it's the same icon as what you're seeing on this UI in front of us. But when I set that text a moment ago, it didn't actually set. Scene? What happens if I click the plus? Oh, okay. So I can switch the icon if I want to, or do a custom icon, I guess. Cool. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Maybe I just needed to click something else. I don't know. because now it says scene on this little thing. So I can see that. So I'm going to leave it boring for a minute, but maybe we'll have some fun with it in a second. And then I want another one of these on the top, and we'll do this one. We'll call starting, and that'll be the starting soon scene. Okay, so now let's try them. So I'm gonna press the starting. Ooh, cool. It switched. Okay, this is neat. So because these are scenes, it makes sense that these are only one is active. Oh, Prog sent us, or Sans, sorry, I'm so focused on this that I didn't see your comment there. Diego, nice to meet you, Diego. Loving the live, even though I don't understand English well. Well, I will, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I will try and speak differently or phrase things in a different way if it helps you with your English. Because as someone who does not speak any other language fluently, I can only have respect for you, because it's I'm learning Chinese and Russian, but I'm nowhere close to fluency, so I don't even know how y'all do it. Quietly welcome as well. So low-key night tonight. Quietly, I'm working on making the stream better and making my setup better so that I can better interact with y'all in the future. So we've got scene and starting. Oh, there we go. I guess you weren't even looking at me because I was too focused on talking. We need 2 more. So I have this be right back scene. This thing, that be right back scene, is for times when I need to, actually I need a new scene. Actually, we should create a scene. So we need another scene that I have not had recently, but I used to have. And be right back is like a weak substitute. So we need a secrets scene. Secrets there are times where I need to interface with like secret information, API keys, all that kind of stuff. Quietly, it's actually not the first stream on this new setup. I just have been, so I got this stuff, I got some of this stuff, if you can believe it, back at like Christmas time. So some of these were gifts from family, and I've just been too lazy to set them up right. So I'm just now getting around to it. And I think the reason I'm doing this live on stream is because I found that I just wasn't doing it in my spare time. So it'd be better to grow together with you all and let you see what I'm doing and just be really transparent about it, and then get something working. So we need a new scene for secrets. So let's do that. I'm gonna create a scene that's just like this. I think this, unfortunately, this is like a static image. So even this text on this starting soon scene is just right embedded into the image, which makes it not great, but that's where we're at. Let's create a new scene, and we'll call this, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm over here in the editor. So we're coming over here, and we'll create this new scene. We'll call it Secrets. Done. So the Secrets is going to have, it should be similar to this scene. Like, I still want to show an alert box, and that alert box is like this. That's this thing. This test thing, like that should show up even here. Oh, it's in a weird spot. Okay. Good grief. Alert box, let's move that to over here. If I happen, like this is pretty rare, but if I happen to have somebody's new subscriber, Let's not put that white on white there. Up in the corner is fine. One more time. Okay, pretty good. So on the secret scene, we want to add the alert box. Where to go? Widgets, I think. No? Oh, there it is. Add this source. Add existing source. Okay, that's what, yep. And we'll put it over here. Where is it on my main scene, I wonder? I wonder if I've been doing this in like a place that really obscures the information. So we've got this new image. Okay. So probably the first boring version of this will be literally just a black scene. And then I'll add something else later. So the alert box for my main scene is dead center. So it's not really over terminal text because I tend to have a split in the middle. So that seems cool. So now we've got these different scenes. I have no reason to use this intermission scene. I think I'm going to get rid of this. I took this from like a pack, like a pre-built pack of stuff. And it's just not one of the use cases I have. So let's ditch the intermission. Wonder what they intend to like. Oh, this could be like maybe you're a gamer and you're putting somebody else's video that like you could put as a placeholder while you're going to the bathroom, something like that, along with a text chat box. That's probably what this stuff is. But I don't have any particular need for it, so let's ditch it. Remove intermission. Goodbye, intermission. All right, so we've got our scenes. This one's just the alert box, and we've got these other scenes. Let's finish off. I'm gonna put this back over here, and then we'll come back to where to go. Lost the Stream Deck config. Let's put the other, now we've got 5 scenes that I care about. Let's put them in place. So we want, well, there's like, ooh, this looks fun. I wonder what these things are. We should just play with them, see what they are. All right, so we've got the scene, starting scene. Maybe I should swap these. No, I'll keep them in the same order that's over on slobs. Or maybe I should just reorder them on slobs. Can I? I can. Cool. I'm going to put them in an order that seems like logically for how I would actually stream. So I want to have starting soon, scene, and ending soon as my like main 3. That's usually how I bookend things. Start, and then once I'm done, there's something to see at the end when I'm clicking the buttons to end the stream and sign off. And then I will have this secret screen, and then there is the rare occasion where I actually do need to excuse myself to go grab some water or use the restroom real quick. So we'll keep that one there. So now we've got this. Let's see if this will swap. So now we've got starting and scene. I'm gonna push starting, push scene. Cool. Let's go to our new button. And we'll pick, this will be, what did I say, ending scene, ending soon. Ending. Come on. I don't understand why it's like not picking that up. There it goes. Not a perfect system. It's okay. And then we're going to have another one for, this will be the secrets screen. That's interesting. So this is now like the order that I had from slobs does not match up with the order here. Hopefully that doesn't become a big deal in the future. But I'll call that secrets. And then finally, one more, which is the, be right back. which is the be right back scene. Okay, let's walk through them all, make sure that they work. So we've got starting, I've got main scene, ending, secrets, and then be right back. Okay. Of those, I think I said I wanted to have the starting and the be right back be without audio. And I suppose the ending as well. You probably don't want to hear me as I'm clicking around to close up. So let's see if we can figure out how to mute audio. We're over here. We got scene switching done. Cool. This is cool. I like this. So that's done. And then so we've got this new, this is sort of done. Needs image. And I like I used to have one that was, my previous version said it's a secret to everybody, which is an homage to Legend of Zelda. I'd love to just use that imagery, although I don't know if I'll get in trouble with Nintendo. So maybe there's a way I can do an AI generated image that will feel like that particular Zelda scene. Be kind of fun. See if that works. So let's look up slobs mute scene audio. Okay. Don't want to sign in. You could do it to change your audio sources from global scenes to scene by scene sources. Then you would just have your music during your starting scene. Oh. Well, this is 2 years ago. Maybe that hasn't really materialized. Currently, the only way to really accomplish this is to set all the audio devices to disabled in settings audio, and then add each audio device to the scene you want in as a source. Okay. That is kind of lame, but that's what it is. Let's check out a couple more. I can mute my mic. That's not really what I want. Problem is, so many of these are videos, and I'm not gonna like watch a video while I'm on stream with y'all. So some of these, surely somebody has described this better. Let's take a look at a couple more of these text sources. Add an option to decide which audio can be eared. What? This might be some other tool. All right, let's look back over here. So I think what they might have been saying is remove this entirely from the mixer and then add it as a source. Is that even possible? Audio input capture. Okay. That's kind of weird. Okay. I don't know that I want to mess with this one real time, because if y'all can't hear me suddenly, that might not be great. So I'll just take that one offline. I'll figure that out later. But at least I have a path. Sounds like the way to do it is to add audio directly to each of the scenes that I care about and not, I guess this mixer is a global thing. Source settings, global settings. This is my microphone. I'm looking for ways that I could turn this off. What I don't want to have to do is like mess with the levels on each scene. That might be possible to have this scene, which you can't now you can't see what I'm seeing, but I can still see the slider, but I didn't know if it'd be possible to like control that just for the scene. My problem is I've not explored all these features in Slobs. There's a bunch of stuff here. Oh, I'm also not thrilled about, like, I've got this pretty generic frame around my my input, my video input down here. Red frame is kind of dull. So it would be nice if I could improve the video frame. Or maybe I drop the red and use a circle. I don't know. There's something about it. I feel like that could be better. Not that you need to see me much. Not really that helpful, but especially for a coding stream. All right. Let's see how I can do this second item. Have a button that launches some kind of action. We have the scenes at the top. Random action. Why would you want that? It's like chaos mode. What is this? I can go buy something if I wanted to. That's interesting to have a store button right in there. And I've got a bunch of things here. Cool. Navigation. Oh, wow. You can have just pages of this stuff. Oh, I could put in like a forward and backwards arrow here and just have a whole other page of widgets and things. Yikes. I think at that point I'd probably just want a bigger Stream Deck. I am not that advanced. There's some folks that are out there. There's some really good streamers out there that I don't know if y'all watch them, but the Primogen is a pretty good somebody I enjoy watching. Talks a lot about Rust, and he's just kind of goofy sometimes, but pretty sharp fellow. Okay, so I don't think I need any navigation things right now. How do you even go? Oh wow, you can have like, you have a bunch of pages, you could have a specific page number, you could have a folder. Good grief. How would you navigate up? How would you go back? I don't understand. Play audio and stop audio. I don't think I need to mess with my audio levels during stream, and I don't have any. I'm not cool enough to have sound clips right now of here things that I could play. A timer. What does that mean? Stream Deck Timer for Stream Deck. Let's see. Drag it on there. See what it does. Connect. What? Let's call it test. Let's give it 5 seconds. They're gonna play a sound. Oh, you know what it might be? I actually don't even use sound when I do this stuff. Let's see if I hear a sound after this. So I'm gonna press the button. Oh, I see a timer down there. Hey, that's cool. So if I had to like care about durations of stuff, maybe I need to do, I don't know, what I even need a timer for. Maybe if I wanted to time box some topic that I was about to do, that I did regularly and needed just a reminder, that I could use that. When I push that, it's pretty cool. It shows a little timer thing that it's counting down, and then when it was done, here maybe I can show these off. Where'd you go? Actually, don't know what I'm showing. Move this back over. Don't know what I'm putting in the camera. Okay. So we got this. Here's the stuff that I put up there. Now I push that. That's counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then it will go bring, bring, and show something little flashes there. That's kind of cool. I don't have any need for it, but that's the kind of thing that I actually like want to have as my trigger. You know, if there's a, like I said, if there's a subscription or a membership or something that comes in, I want to be able to display that. But what I really would like to do, that I don't know if this part is possible, is I want it to display on all 15 of these. I want it to take over like a little mini screen and be like, boom, flash in your face. That's where I don't really know. Let's see what this brightness thing is, just to check. I'm just controlling the brightness on what? On this? I don't know. Brighter. I think I might be at max brightness already, so it doesn't show anything. Brighter. Darker. Yeah, okay. It's just setting the brightness control on the Stream Deck. That's strange. Okay. I'll just leave it at max because it doesn't really matter. Okay. So we've gone through the Stream Deck built-in things. We're not using the soundboard. We're not using navigation. I have a feeling we might need to use these multi-action switches eventually, but we'll see if we can not do that first. So here are the things that come built for Streamlabs desktop. We mess with the scenes, and I guess I could go. I didn't press this thing. You can set from a file or create a new icon, or open the Stream Deck icon library. Okay, this is what if you press that plus, it does the same thing, brings it to here. So this is kind of a cool, like if I can give some visual distinction between what I care about, I like that. Or at least for that one scene that's important. I don't know if there's any like mystery stuff, because it would be nice to have something that's actually visual for myself to know what I'm looking at quickly. So I'm kind of looking for something that might imply secretive or mystery for my secrets screen. And I don't know that I'm seeing anything, but we'll scan for a second here. These are very light. It's got to at least pop. Okay. I'm not seeing anything, but that's okay. Having that one, the one that I know is like primary. That one. Cool. All right. Let's look a little bit further. We've got some system ones here. So a website. Oh, that said open a URL. Yeah, I kind of like that. So if we need to, what would I do that for? Let's see. What do I sometimes need to access quickly? Like I could do a couple of these for now. Like I could do this Exercism one for Python stuff. You could jump straight to this page. Let's try that. Let's see how that goes. And maybe it's even smart enough to pull in like the icon for the favicon for the site. That'd be cool. See if we can figure that out. So let's do that. Pull in a website. And we'll say Exercism. Okay. Cool. Now I'm going to push it and see what happens. All right, cool. So that'd be a fast way to like navigate, because in the past I've been just leaving these tabs up, but it could be nice to jump straight to the stuff we want to see, and that would be configurable depending on what projects I'm working on. So we've got stuff on homeschool site, so the homeschool app, and we often jump to this issues page. I think that would be another one that I would want. Let's come over here and we'll do one more of these. We'll call it issues, and we'll paste in this URL. I'm going to hit the button. Hey, nice. That's cool. What else we got? Hotkey switch. Toggle between two commands. Toggle between two commands. What do they even mean? Stream Deck requires access to accessibility for hotkeys to work. Oh, so this is like if you have just general commands that you want to run. Kind of cool looking. So I guess if you press it once, it'll run one thing. If you press it a second time, it'll run the other one. I don't know what I would do with that right now, though. Trying to think if there's any use that I have for it currently. Because I try to maximize my screen space. The switching that I'm doing is with scenes. If I'm doing anything else, I'm alt-tabbing between the terminal and the browser. So I don't really need a hotkey for that. I've already got more convenient access directly on the keyboard. So there's nothing gained there. So I think we can ditch this one. And then we've got hotkey. Yeah, that one's just to do something. But here's where, I'm trying to think. So I'd have to like program some hotkeys like specifically for the Mac, and then connect that to the hotkey here, maybe. So like, what's a good example? Sometimes I take screenshots, and I've got that mapped to, I think it's Shift Alt or Command Shift, I don't know. What is it? Control. Wow. Maybe I don't have that set up on this Mac. My brain remembers it at my work computer, but sometimes I like want to just drag and create a screenshot. So I've programmed a hotkey for that. And I think what I would do here is then you could connect that hotkey to this button. So you do a one click thing that does whatever the hotkey is. The reason I'd want to do that in that way is so that it doesn't depend on the focus of the application. Like right now, the Stream Deck is focused, so certain hotkey commands would only affect this particular focused window. So if I want like global things that happen, I would need to do it at the operating system level and program those hotkeys. But still can't think of anything that I would need that for. So open an app, file, or folder. Do I ever open stuff besides the browser or the terminal? This may be where I said I want to do that quick setup. Over here, that one button setup to start streaming. Maybe that's where I would do that. But what would that do? That would open, but that would only open in the app. I think I would need a way to run an actual command or a sequence of commands. Not really sure. I gotta investigate. How do you run like a bunch of automations? I know that, let's see if there's automator, which I've never used, but I've heard it can do some interesting stuff. Some people have used it to like do certain flows and setups, but I have no experience of this. I don't know if it's how powerful it is, if it can do what I would need to do. Like if I'm on a browser tab, can I make it open up certain parts of the page? If I can, like, could I get out the live chat that I need for my stuff? Don't really know. I'm trying to like look at my live chat URL right now. It seems like it's coded to a specific stream, so I don't think I could do that. So it would have to be like almost like using WebDriver to do automated clicks and stuff. So I don't know that this is going to be helpful for loading up the things that I need to load up. Maybe there's another option. I should look at if there are dedicated chat, like YouTube chat apps. Oh, that's an interesting idea. YouTube streaming chat app. There's live chat, right? Live chat's the thing I need, but like, how do I get that? I don't know. That's something else I want to investigate. Let's keep looking. So we've got a couple of URLs there. We've got the scene selectors. Those are cool. What's left? So we can activate or deactivate an audio source. So I could, if I didn't have a way to make that, like if I'm coming over here and I've got this off, I could possibly do my audio here too if I didn't want to do the make the scene turn the audio off. Let's see. Oops. Video capture. So will this turn this on and off, I wonder? All right, I'm going to push this. Okay, yeah, that's a good mute button there. That's useful if I guess I was having a coughing fit. Maybe I'll leave that on now. Although I'm looking at the icon, The icon is constantly going. It's kind of annoying. All right, let me get back to the main scene. Let me show you. Oh, I have a scene button. Cool. So it's showing as like active. And it's like the selected item. And I don't know, that's not going to focus, I bet. What you can't see is this is an animating icon. Oh, yeah. So you can't see it here. Like this is just showing here. But this thing is animating currently, which is pretty annoying. So I would almost just want like audio, little microphone thing. Try that. Okay. The problem with this is that you don't necessarily know. If I push it. Okay. So it's kind of lit up. It's lit up when it's active, and then it goes dark when it's inactive. All right, I'll leave it for now. I'm not convinced I actually will use it, but start there. Tweet? I can tweet from here? Oh. Post a pre-composed tweet. That can be cool. That's like a I'm live kind of thing. Change your display name. Well, don't do that anymore because I think Elon made that so it's not going to go well for you if you do that. Control media playback. All good. And then we've got, is this of my switch the light on and off? Is this for my key light? I mean, it isn't. So I've got an Elgato key light. That's what's shining on me. And this is an Elgato Stream Deck. So it makes sense that they would have these things connected and that they'd be controllable. That's kind of cool. Let's set the temperature. So my key light, though, is only white, I think. It doesn't have like color options that I can remember. So may not be that useful. We've got some stuff for OBS Studio, which I don't have. Although Slobs is technically OBS under the covers, so some of these might work, but I don't know. But looking through them, they don't seem like things that I care about. And I definitely don't have Twitch Studio. Okay. So those, I think, took a while, but we went through all the input things that are available. I'm walking away with a pretty basic set at the moment. If you have any ideas for fun things to put in there, please let me know. And I'm happy to consider them. Oh, I guess we didn't look at these multi-action things. Look at a multi-action. What is this? Multi-action. Oh. So maybe if I didn't want to mess with the audio here, I could make a multi-action that switches the scene to ending and turns off audio. Doesn't feel great though. Okay. I'm going to get rid of that for now. Multi-action switch can alternate. Why would I want that? I don't know. Okay. Still not sure. And then I definitely can't imagine wanting a random action. It's super weird. Oh. This could be like just fun stuff of every time you press the random button, you get some meme, or I can imagine playing some weird audio and cycling through them. There's a bunch of bits that could happen there. Okay, I get why you'd want to use that. All right, I don't really have a use for that stuff yet, though. So now what? What is next? I think this might be like the inputs that I want to either the web browser directly or to slobs over here to either control scenes or control the mic audio. Those are probably fine. Let's go back to the Excalidraw thing and see where we're at. We've got switch scenes. Now, here's the second one that's there. I'd like to be able to have a launch of an overlay. What would that be? What do we have in... Let's look back at Slobs for a minute. Slobs has a bunch of its own devices, sources here. And that alert box is one of them. That's the thing we're seeing right now. Include text in your stream. New follower. Okay. That could be it. That could be what we would want. Oh. That's just like persistent information. So that's not something I have a great use for right now. Okay. Window capture, we're already doing that. Recent events. Okay. Also, if I wanted to keep a history on there. All right. There's a bunch of these things here. General color block. Browser screen capture. What is this? Collab cam. Invite a guest to join your stream from a web browser. Oh. So I'm thinking for like a message to say that as an encouragement to remind people to like, comment, subscribe is probably going to be something like an animated GIF that is going to be an image, and then the image I could toggle the visibility of it. That's my best guess. That's a very manual way of doing it, unless they have some stuff here. So a donation goal. I'm not really a fundraiser. If you want to support me, you're welcome to, but that's not my deal. Subscription goal. Okay. Tip ticker. Okay, so I can show off how much money I'm not getting. Viewer count. Don't you all get that from like? I'm pretty sure YouTube just shows that. I don't think I really would benefit from having that on my stream too. The jar that catches bits, tips, and more. Yeah, some of these feel like Twitch features. Follows bits. Okay. But that's like the alert thing. I don't understand this. What is this doing? Chat box. Nope. I like you all get the chat on the side as it's going on. I don't think I need to add that. It just takes up real estate on the screen. Stream boss, that's totally a Twitch thing. Credits? Ooh. Okay. I can see this being useful. One of the things that I do have a Patreon, which you're welcome to join. Or I've got YouTube membership that's basically the same tiers. And I do say that there's a bunch of people that I support. In fact, I haven't read that off in a while, so let me read through them. Yeah, thank you to Rupert, Andrew, Dragos, and Ryan. And then Patrick, Fred, and Aaron. And Philippe, Miguel, Shivan, and Monty. Those people have supported me, although maybe one or two of those have canceled at this point, but I do appreciate them all. They help make it possible to buy some various gear that light, this monitor, in fact, most of this gear over the last couple of years, it's just been slowly accumulated until I have more of the gear. So I'm at this I'm at peak gear now, and I think I'm really just looking into how can I invest back into the software side better. Maybe that means investing into some purchases that make this snazzier. Okay, but I can put credits on there in the future. A spin wheel? What? Streamer manually triggers a spin anytime while they are live. Wow. Member goal. Media sharing. Well, thanks. Set up a sponsor banner. Okay. This sounds kind of like it, but what is that going to look like? What does this do? How is this different from an image? Rotating sponsor logos. Okay. That sounds worth playing with. Let's go back to the Excalibur. The question is, how do I make it display at the right time? Because I don't want to it's not meant to be a constant advertisement, but there's a certain element of people need to have the opportunity to be reminded about you can subscribe and learn about this later. So let's put this down as the sponsor banner. Something I can play with later. Streamlabs charity goal. Okay, cool. Should do more of these polls. That'd be fun. Super chat goal. Custom widget. If I was really crazy, I want to write my own HTML for this. And then a game widget. All right. I think the sponsor banner, you know what, let's just add it and see what it does. Boom. Whoa. Streamlabs. Oh, this might just automatically do the thing that I want to do. Here's a when to show it. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Right now it's showing Streamlabs, but I think that's it. Okay. Right now it's super annoying. I will make it less annoying, I promise. It would not be something that is constantly in your face. Let's take it off for now. Cool. I think that's probably a good progress. I feel like I've got some Stream Deck controls. There's a bunch of stuff. Oh, we still didn't go this. I didn't see anything that would like put information to the Stream Deck display. Let's do a quick search for that. Stream Deck. Show subscribe on buttons. Oh man. I want to go the other way, y'all. I don't want to go that way. How do you customize buttons? Okay, I don't think this is going to be something I'm going to be able to figure out on stream at that moment. Create your own branded Stream Deck button. You can just put an image on there. So that's like, what? I don't even get what they're trying to do there. Stream Deck. Show events on buttons. Events received. What is this? Once a plugin is loaded by the Stream Deck application and the user sets some keys to use the plugin will receive some events. Oh, this is like writing. Gosh, would I have to write a custom plugin to do this? Surely not. Surely somebody I've got to believe has thought, let's show information on the Stream Deck. So I am not going to invest in this right now. It seems like a waste of my time. I mean, I will do it if nobody has done it. I would just be shocked if that's truly the case. So I think given that, like, I've got this sponsor banner. This would be nice if I used to have this kind of overlay. So before I switched to this new Mac, I used to run an OBS. And I had a plugin on OBS that would every, like, I think I had it configured for every 10 minutes or so, it would pop up a, hey, why don't you comment, like, subscribe, all of that thing. That way people got that persistent reminder without being annoying, I hope. So it sounds like the sponsor banner is the way to do that. And we didn't get into image stuff, but maybe I'll save that for next time. I think I'm going to end the stream this evening. This was just meant to be like a casual thing. So I don't know how many, let's see, probably aren't even that many of you hanging out. Like, this is not a very common thing to watch. Yeah, for that one person that's here, thank you for joining in. Hopefully this was at least somewhat entertaining and showing you how Streamlabs works. Otherwise, we'll get back to things in the future. Next week, I'm actually going to be out, so I will not be available to stream. But we'll get to things the week after that, I hope, and finish up this Django feature that I was working on, which I'm not even going to bother describing tonight. So that'll be it for this evening. Thanks for joining in. Take care, and let's see if this ending button works. Bye.